You're very welcome to Off the Ball Breakfast. It's Wednesday the 18th of June. Hit us up on WhatsApp 087 918 180. Send us your messages and voice notes and it will come straight through to us, or get us on YouTube. Type in Off the Ball, click us, you'll see that we're live, and you should see three gentlemen looking at you straight back in the eyeballs. You've already heard from me, but now I do want to make the point here that Club World Cups, they might not capture the imagination, but World Cups generally do. So on this week in 2002, Ronaldinho scored his iconic free kick against England. Well, in the same week in 1986, Diego Maradona created infamy and majesty in 4 unforgettable minutes. Just a couple of examples of when individuals produced magical moments in their chosen field. A bit like the man to my right does on a daily basis. He's back in black. It's Arthur O'Dea.
It's become a new feature now of the show in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, I missed this. Okay.
Specialised intros.
Okay.
You're very welcome.
Well, how are you?
Is this
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. A defeated Michael Corleone admitted in some gaff in Godfather Part 3. But who, dear audience, do you imagine delivered that line better? Was it the actor Al Pacino in 1990? Or was it the broadcaster to my left in 2025 when he hung up the phone last night after listening to pleas from the Off the Ball Breakfast crew to please return when he gave in to temptation? Fresh from completing his leaving cert, it's the iconic Ger Gilroy, a.k.a. Ger. Welcome back.
Wow, Colm, thanks very much.
Do you know the leaving cert gag? Do you know what this is?
Go for it.
It's a running joke among our YouTube faithful is that Ger has been off doing the leaving certs.
Okay.
Did you do well? Did they still make you do an
4
essay?
A's, 2 B's.
They still make you do an essay in English paper 1?
They do, yeah.
I enjoyed that element of it. How have you been?
Not bad, yeah.
How were the holidays?
They were good, yeah. I recommend them.
Got a lovely colour.
You
look rested.
Was in Italy.
Clean shaven.
We went to a place called San Vincenzo on the Tuscan coast for a campsite, and then we went up to Siena and stayed there for 5 or 6 nights. It's very good, very hot.
Oh, you did go to Siena?
Weather was amazing. Didn't see any rain whatsoever for 2 weeks. I hear it was exactly the same here.
Yeah, it's been nice.
Came back apparently it's been rubbish here.
Has it? No, it was a bad
it's been
day.
hit or miss. It's been hit or miss now.
It's been a good week.
Oh, the stories we got was an absolute lashing.
No, last Saturday was a washout all day long.
Like 4 times the
It's always warm though.
4 times the rainfall.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the conditions are fine. Actually, the conditions were frustrating because it was wet but warm. So how do you dress for that? But I'd say, look, I've been in Dublin 10 years, right? I want to say one thing about Dublin. It doesn't rain that much up here.
No, it's great.
Comparatively
generally.
to the rest of the country. Certainly not where you're from, certainly not where I'm from.
Well, it's Thai, very dry. It's great. The whole lower east coast.
But Saturday gone was it was torrential, like all day. It was like movie rain, but all day long for about half an hour in the evening. But I was talking to the taxi driver this morning. He was in Westport. He said it was gorgeous. And Sir Brian O'Driscoll was suited and booted with the shades on in London, watching the Premiership from the sideline. Beautiful day.
Yeah.
Luckily, you got the brunt of
and the rest of
in
Europe
Central Europe
was pretty good too.
So when you leave, your favourite sports teams achieve. Kildare Hurlers win a landmark Joe McDonagh, the senior footballers in the Tailteann Cup semi-finals this weekend. They should have been against Sligo. They're against Fermanagh.
We should legitimately power rank the dual counties. Cork, Galway.
You must have been listening to
No.
the show. We've had Megan Scully on as guest co-host in your absence for a couple of the days.
Yeah.
And we were asking each other, really, quite appropriately, because obviously Megan's a Galway woman. Who's the best dual county?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Your beloved Leinster as well finally showed up on the day when it mattered.
Yeah.
And,
never in doubt, really.
And at the time of speaking, Emmy Martinez, or insert whatever favourite Aston Villa player you have, remain at the club.
Still players there, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's been great.
Transfer window, well, has it? Because there was loads of great young players that Villa had been linked with. The keeper from Espanyol gone to Barca. The young Norwegian Wunderkind gone to Man City. It's all these the things you can pin your dreams on. Players who aren't quite there yet.
What I should have done there, right? This is my fault. I should have led with the Villa stuff.
Yeah.
And then finished on the other stuff, because you would have picked up. You're always going to pick up the last thing I say.
I'm happy to pick up on Kildare.
But what do you want to talk about here? The hurlers, the footballers, the rugby team,
the evolution of the hurlers, and I was reading loads of bits about the population demographics being very much in Kildare's favour over the last 20 years. Population has doubled, but then obviously you need really great work happening in the clubs, and it's not just Naas, although Naas are obviously backbone in the team. Not to put any hostages to fortune and put pressure out there, but Naas could be All-Ireland club hurling contenders at some point in the next few years if things continue the way they're going. Or certainly Leinster contenders. They're not that far away from it already. The winners of the Joe McDonagh competing immediately, it's not a great opportunity for anybody. It doesn't feel like it's something that has been thought through properly in the GA calendar. It's quite tokenistic. And I did see that there was a conversation around that. Dalo in particular was very strong about, like, you know, do we care about this? Why is this game not on TV? Why was the other game on TV? That doesn't even make any sense. It's like, it's a very difficult thing for us to do, to pick TV schedules. Like, all right, well, don't pick that one.
It's a punishment beating.
Yeah, I mean, it was always going to be. Like,
Yeah,
we had the radio rights for that one year, and I think Cork scored 11 goals.
Yeah.
It's like a bit like Bayern running up the score against Auckland. The Germans are always good at that. Cork always good at that. You know, oh, sorry, you put out a crap team against us, we're going to hammer you. Like, obviously, from the footballers' perspective, they've got to get over Fermanagh and whoever else is in the competition to be back in Sam Maguire next year. And I think, you know, they have a management team and they have a crop of players who are capable of playing Sam Maguire football. So you'd have both teams playing at the highest level that they've played at in a long period of time. They're back in Division 2 next year. So yeah, it's looking good for Kildare.
You play if you beat Fermanagh, you play the winners of Limerick Wicklow.
Yeah, I mean, like, Kildare will be favourites at this point in the competition. There's no point in saying otherwise. Like, Leinster were favourites to win the Champions Cup at that stage of the competition, and it was disappointing that they didn't.
What's a beautiful segue into Leinster? First trophy in 4 years. Must be delighted.
The players celebrated wildly. I mean, one of the grand poobahs of Bayern Munich used to say that the important thing for the team is to win the league every year. And when we win the European Cup, that's great as well. But we can't guarantee that we're going to win the European Cup. You should be guaranteeing that we're winning the league. And that, I think, is a model for Leinster to aspire to. There are great teams in Europe who can knock you out in a one-off game. You do your very best to get the home draws as far as you can. But you got to win the league because you have a lot of resources, and at the moment you have a collection of players who are capable of doing it, and they've done that. I did see speculation that Ian Arbour's time is coming to a close.
Really?
He's going to see his. It was one story.
I saw that, yeah.
And I think it was in the Mirror. There was nothing. The evidence was he's not signed a new deal, which means he might see out his current deal, which is one more year, which means he'll go at the end of next season. Which I suspect is kind of what everybody's
Back to South Africa.
thinking anyway. Well, so the speculation in the piece was back to South Africa as head coach, Razzie back to director of rugby, so he gets the credit and the opportunity to win the 3 in a row, which, let's face it, will be one of the great achievements in sport. Or to just take £1 million a year and go and work in France for somebody. It's like, yeah, I could see that would also be a nice way to do things. But I just thought that was interesting. You know, these things are always fleeting. Leinster need to regenerate. And has your attitude towards Leinster changed now that they've been successful?
Listen,
You were delighted, I'm sure.
I was asked off air, like, do you want Leinster to win it in advance? And I was like, yeah, I like the players. I want them to achieve. They should achieve. You know, like, Ger, we were talking about.
I like the players is always called for. I hate the fans, by the way. I use it myself often.
The conversation yesterday, as you can imagine, Ger, was a lot to do with Mayo. Given the co-host on the day was Nathan, and we had David Brady on as well. And towards the end of the show, we were talking about the perception of Mayo, you know, and Nathan was asking me my thoughts on it, and it was like, well, they had to win one, like, they had to win something to be considered great, but they were very romantic about the whole thing. I guess the romance wasn't there for me for Leinster. It was more clinical. They have to win something given the talent that they possess, and they did it in a spectacular style, you have to say, on Saturday against the Bulls team, who either didn't show up or were totally overwhelmed, whatever way you want to look at it.
Yeah, no, they did win the European Cup in 2018. Like, it's not like it's been. It's not like it's a famine.
That's a school term ago, leaving cert-wise.
Yeah, it's not like it's we're in the midst of this 40 years of not winning anything. It's like, you know, when they win again, which they will, everybody will be like, well, that's not a bad record. Beaten by amazing teams in some cases, except this year. And like the width of a post against DuPont, playing the greatest game he's ever played. Like, come on, it's been a great team. They've been really enjoyable to be a supporter of.
I'm keen to ask James Tracy about where they can actually improve next season, because it looks like they're not complete. Like, obviously going to lose Jordy Barrett, but they're getting another class player in Ione. But I wonder where else they can actually strengthen. Do you have any thoughts on it?
Well, their out half can become an even better player than he already is.
Yeah.
Like, he's obviously very good at many things, but there are still some defensive issues which he will continue to work out. Like, you know, there's loads of ways that teams can improve. Their defence wasn't great against Northampton. They looked like they didn't know exactly what they were supposed to be doing. They were somewhat frail in that. Their scrum was a massive weapon at the weekend. Like, looks like Clarkson's great. So I think
I was kind of surprised he started.
I think there's loads of
Slimini.
They've been bringing Slimini off the bench, and you want to make sure that you're pretty strong at the end when that scrum comes looking for you with their bomb squad. So I think that, like, Leinster played really well this season. They lost one big game. You know, you're not going to win all the competitions every year.
They lost 3 games last season. It's just the talent that they have. Like, when they went 3 tries to 0 up in like 25 minutes, I still thought, like, I was still thinking of La Rochelle final.
Yeah, exactly.
2 years ago. I was still like, I don't know what's going to happen here.
That's part of the culture.
Yeah.
Like, until you exercise all the demons continue to be there.
I'll get through the back pages in just a moment. There's a few stories there we want to chat about, but we'll get to the comments first here. It's full of them, Ger. Alan, their subscriber, says, welcome back, Ger. Interested to get your thoughts on Sir Dave stepping back from his role. Is this the end of the brains trust at United?
This is actually worrying for the rest of world football now, that actually some football people might be in charge of football at Manchester United. But it's so weird how, obviously, you're reading the coverage, and the coverage is like, well, the jury's out really on what this era might come to have represented, and then they list all the amazing things that he's done at Manchester United, which are like, you know, I don't think the jury is out. I think that what was the line from the piece? Brailsford watches cycling in colour. We see it in black and white, but he's still watching football in black and white, and may never get to the point where he's watching it in colour. And it was just very strange that they put so much of the football stuff on his shoulders, and the big decisions were Ten Hag and Ashworth, and that seems to have been botched and has put the club back 18 months. So here's the thing. Also, that nonsense about, we were going broke. They seem to be able to be in the market for every player who they want to sign, and it's up to whether or not the player wants to sign for them. They've miraculously found some change down the back of the massive Manchester United sofa, which you can buy for on instalments, interest-free if you want, from the Manchester United Superstore. I just think that Brailsford being gone is actually really good for Man United, and I think that Man United are going to be back sooner rather than later, because, as Owen would always say, sitting in this seat, the house always wins, and Man United in football are the house.
It's the interview the world wants to see, I'd imagine. Ger Gilroy interviewing Sir Dave. Would you like that?
No, I have no interest in talking to him. Brailsford was like, your marginal gains, yeah, but what about the jiffy bag? And then it just becomes this kind of, I didn't know anything about it.
Turning down the Brailsford interview. Pass. Nah.
Leaving this off, says in Teams. Who else wants it? Rubnert's been in touch. I like the jumper column. Thank you very much. Keen subscriber says, morning from Thailand, lads. This is a very new phenomenon. We're getting people all over the world chatting with us last few days.
It's mad.
Saying where they are. Yeah, it's cool.
Manila.
Brain. We had Luxembourg.
Yeah, Luxembourg. For tax reasons, obviously. Or maybe to try and qualify for the international football team.
Someone from Nina.
So this is Kenya. Morning from Thailand, lads. Colm and Ger giving Roy Evans and Houllier vibes. You decide who's who.
Oh, there you go. Evans had the glasses, didn't he?
Don't let me go, man. Dermot Keenan, Ger looking fresh from his holidays. Kieran Byrne, great to have you back, Ger. The voice of reason. Wow.
You haven't been paying attention, have you?
I hope you take this as a compliment, but Michael says beginning to look a bit like Bono. I think that's a nice thing. Bono's a handsome man.
Is he your type?
Yeah, he's absolutely my type, yeah.
20 years older than you, though.
I know, but you could be a younger brother and still resemble, you know. Carlinho888, the casino guy. Good afternoon, lads, from SEA, and welcome back, Ger.
What's SEA?
Yeah. Southeast Asia?
Southeast Asia.
He was on yesterday.
Or the Great Open Ocean. I don't know.
He is somewhere. I don't know. I forget where he is, but he's somewhere. He's away. He's not home.
Thanks for that message, Bill Bobby. Hang in there. Don't end it all, man. It's not worth it. JWCM, that's on TV versus Common. Shifty lad, Ger, Kildare versus Fermanagh. What are you thinking? You've kind of given us that already. Leinster have underachieved, which I think is fairly well regarded. And then do you think
bollocks?
Do you think that?
Well, you can't guarantee a team is going to win the European Cup. You just can't. Sorry. Did Pep underachieve at Barcelona with Messi? It's hard to say. Maybe he didn't, because
won 2 Champions Leagues in 4 years.
Maybe, but is that underachieving?
I wouldn't say so. I mean,
but what's the definition of this? It's like, I don't know.
Yes, guys, Southeast Asia, Manila, Philippines.
There you go.
Oh, that's lovely in sync there. Terry Kelly says, I almost feel guilty saying I'm only watching this thing from Belgium.
No.
At least we have the beer and chocolate.
Yeah.
Gone worldwide.
And worldwide indeed. Speaking of popular, crowds up 21% for All-Ireland group stages on back of new rules. This is Colm Keys on the back of the Irish Independent this morning. I'll read the first few paragraphs here. Attendances at games in the 4 All-Ireland Senior Football Championship round robin groups over the last month were up 21% year on year, a further sign of the uplift the new rules have provided. At the weekend, Central Council heard that there was a 24% increase in gate receipts from the National Leagues, football and hurling combined. And finally for now, but after the final round robin of games last weekend, it's been established that exactly 45,649 more people came through the turnstiles for the 24 games compared to 2024, an increase being attributed to the new rules and enhancements the FRC have brought in.
So let's throw it out. We've seen enough of this. It's too good. It's too successful. Let's not do this again next year when actually everybody will have a real opportunity to understand, oh, this game's really, really important. We should show up. And that's like with Mayo having no crowd in the first game at home, remember? Like imagine a fully on board Mayo where they thought they might have a chance of doing something. Like there's going to be a new Mayo management team next year. There might be something there. I'm praying that Kildare will be part of this whole thing next year, and they always travel in big numbers when they have a bit of belief going on. But no, let's not. We've seen enough. There was no jeopardy for those 2 games that people didn't really understand what the permutations were 18 months ago, and they wedded themselves, they cleaved themselves very specifically to that position, and they would not move. The grand poobahs of the GA Illuminati who decided, no, there's no jeopardy. People don't understand it. It's too difficult. And then it's turned out to be great.
2 mentions of poobahs this morning.
Can they go back? Can they go back on it? Can they reverse their stupid decision now and say, oh...
It's not objectively the case, though, that there's an awful lot of games played for only 4 teams to be eliminated. Like, that can still be true as it was last year. But I guess the devil is in the detail, and the games have been entertaining. But the format is probably flawed.
But you're not... The objective isn't necessarily just to... we don't want just to go straight to a quarter final. Now we've got an extra week of games, and there's the advantage of... It's not like first and third is equal. If you finish top of your group, it's obviously a massive advantage to finish second or third.
I do like that. I do like the first, second, third
so it's
reward.
It's not just
It's more the 4th team I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think it's great. I really think it's great.
It is actually almost perfect.
Yeah.
And they've decided that, because the games weren't great last year, the old rules, games weren't great, but the situation was, even if you go back to the very first year when we had this, when people really didn't understand it, but all 4 of the tables ended up having somebody with the weight of the ball in their hands in the final second of the game to win or lose and to put a team through or out. Now, at that stage, everybody just assumed that it was going to be 3 teams who could only ever win in All-Ireland. Now there's 8, which suddenly means all of this really matters. And finishing 3rd, or even 2nd, you could argue, is going to be very, very difficult for you not to go on and win All-Ireland from that situation where you've got to play 3 games in a row and be a bit wrecked by the end of it. We haven't seen exactly what that's going to play out like this year, but we will. And I'm not saying it's impossible that one of those teams in 2nd or 3rd can go on and win it, but it's just more difficult for them. And it's brilliant. But next year it's back to, there's only a certain number of games this week, and we actually haven't seen this team be tested properly, and we haven't seen them out of their own environment, and we haven't seen them at a neutral venue. This is actually almost perfect.
Is it more the case that the rules have been such a success, you have to say, that not that format's irrelevant, because the format still has to fit into it, but even a tweak next year, it might not make that much difference to the entertainment that we're getting?
No, the entertainment is because of the rules.
That's all that matters, though, is the entertainment, really.
Well, do you not want to see more games? Would you not are we not actually all benefiting from seeing more games? Are the crowds not, are you not entertained? Yes, we are entertained. So show us the teams. We're going to have a league situation next year where really only Division 2 matters. We've decided now winning Division 1 is largely irrelevant, or being in the final is largely irrelevant. It has no impact on the rest of the year. So the bottom of Division 1, top of Division 2 and the bottom of Division 3 are really all that matters for the league. There'll be high scores. There'll be some teams who, some patterns emerge in their play, like Derry can't see an out of game, and that carries on. And we'll retrospectively frame it as such. But then there'll be the provincial championships, which are grand, right? So this year, obviously, Meath and Louth added great colour. No one's interested in what's happening in Munster, and will continue not to be, apart from when Cork play Kerry, and even then, let's wait and see what happens. Ulster obviously is amazing, but was it of any benefit for Donegal and Armagh to try and kill each other in the final? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I just think that like this format is great. It's a slalom of brilliant matches, and next year there'll be far fewer. And actually less jeopardy.
Armagh had no real reason to be as competitive as they were against Galway at the weekend just gone. But it was unbelievable. I think they only made 2 changes to that side. They were 8 points up at half time, and Galway only won that with the last kick.
I think if they'd won, wouldn't they have not? They would have saved themselves a game.
No, they'd have knocked Galway out.
No, yeah, it was the killer threat. They were good to
Tyrone
go.
not finished top?
No, that's
a
a
different group.
Okay.
Armagh were guaranteed top spot.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's not. I even think that's a bit because you know the way we often think about that with football, but they're like in soccer. It's like, how are people playing so many games? But like I think with Armagh, it's like their whole year will have been geared up to play that number of games. So it's probably a bit odd to kind of go all of a sudden. Throw that plan out. We're going to actually not play. You know,
in your own immortal words, they're feeling themselves at the moment, aren't they, Armagh? It's going so well. They want to keep them playing.
Oh, but also, like, I'd say they were feeling a bit sick that they didn't knock Galway out. Like, you do not want a dangerous Galway floating.
Maybe. And it's unbelievably difficult to call the winner overall. Like, you've actually been, like, you have the benefit of actually being away for a couple of weeks. You haven't been in the weeds of it. But do you have any idea at all, in your mind, who you think is going to actually win the whole thing?
No, because you did feel like Armagh were the best team in the country. And I haven't seen Tommy's latest power rankings. I would have Armagh pretty close to the top. And then after that, there's a tier. But if Armagh were to get knocked off on a day by Tyrone, Donegal, Galway, I suspect the Dubs are not going to do that. They're not going to reverse that. But
wait and see. If you hard pushed to pick a finalist, let alone a winner.
Yeah. I know Kerry are dead, though, according to what I'm reading this morning.
Well, they have a lot of their lads back, reportedly.
There's an air of finality around the kingdom after going down to me. It's like, hey, you're opening it up.
Nah, Paul Geaney, fucking...
Different team.
Jesus Christ. I thought it was off air there a second. I was going through the list. Sean O'Shea, Bríonú Beagliach, Paddy Clifford, Diarmuid O'Connor.
Yeah,
they're going to be back against...
They're totally
going to be back this weekend against Cavan. So... Like, I think that the whole Kerry thing was an awful day out of the office against Meath, but they'll be back and then some. I can very much see Kerry in the final. Like that metaphorical tenor I was talking about for Dublin a few weeks ago. I could see them winning every game for the rest of the year.
It's not too late.
It might be gone down a bit now. I should have done it really. Dara Riley's been in touch. They scrapped this format because everyone was giving out about it at the time, saying it was stupid. Can't have it both ways.
No, you can have it both ways. You can tell the people who are just giving out about stuff, who are always giving out about stuff, to pipe down and let's wait. And at the end of it, when we have got all the evidence, when the 3-year experiment that we're going through is over, then we'll put some research together. We'll get some stats. We'll look at the attendances. We'll look at the scoring rates. We'll look at, like, you know, grounds that never get games that have, like, was it Oma? Oma was the game at the weekend. Was all the controversy about? Jim was very unhappy.
No, in the Hyde Park.
Is it in Roscommon?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Jesus, it's the best game in Roscommon I'm going to see for a long time, isn't it?
But it looked class. Like, it's really under. Like, I think it was a full house. It looked unreal. I think that's a big part of it as well. Just how good all these grounds look when they're full like this.
The aesthetic is pleasing for sure. Carlinho 888. I miss the smell of fresh silage in the morning. Apocalypse Now B-side there. Michael's saying the format is a waste of time and it hasn't caught public interest.
That's a lie.
It's definitively untrue.
This Michael has been banging that drum all week long.
Yeah.
No one cares about this except all the people who are showing
professional contrarians.
There's a bone to pick there. JWC watching from Connemara woke by farmer silage since 6 a.m. Not bad. I want to pick out a comment here.
That the first time someone's called silage woke?
Possibly. Well, I can't find the comment, but I do have the story. So, punishment for mark penalty changed. See this? They've made another change here in the rules. The FRC doing what they want. The penalty for impeding a player who was taking a kick-out mark will be reduced from a 50-metre advancement to just a free from where the offence is taking place from this coming weekend on a Central Council vote on the matter was completed. The outcome is believed to have been overwhelming, with just one vote against as Central Council delegates gave their support to bringing the change with immediate effect. Any problems with this? In terms of, first of all, the rule change. Any problems with the rule change?
I think the rule change is a bit reactionary. I think that actually, if you make the mark, right, what's now to stop me fouling you automatically? And so when you get the ball from the mark, you essentially have like a free 4-second play to kick it forward, right? That's the benefit of getting the mark. Now what happens is I'm going to foul you, and I'm going to stand in front of you, which is my like foul, right? And slow you down. And now it's a free, and I've blown my whistle, and there's no real punishment for me. Whereas the previous punishment was I had to let you go.
Well, is there any detail on a la in football for obstruction?
Well,
like if you're stopping the play like that, it's a professional foul, effectively.
Let me be smarter and more in tune with the current world of Gaelic football, where it's like, oh, referee, what are you doing? I'm not standing here. I'm just occupying space. I'm physical matter. Where am I supposed to go, ref?
Occupying space. Andy Ray. Can I give you an example of this, actually, from a manager who's spoken out about this prominently?
Well, he's not speaking out of the rules. He's speaking out of the fact that the rules are being changed.
Correct.
Okay, so is everybody else okay with the rule change?
So the rule change, I have no problem with, really, because it did seem a bit like punitive. It did a bit extremely so.
I think what's slowly happening here is that we made all these great rule changes, and everybody's like, it is, but like then don't get in the way.
But then it's so difficult to. You're asking the people to change a habit of a lifetime playing this game.
Yes,
like, so you go up to compete
but the
for
habit
the
of a lifetime,
and then you fall on your
11,
feet.
10.
Get rid of it. Take your free and play on. Okay, so we're a bit mixed about the change itself. What about the timing?
Go for it.
Is that a problem?
If I'm kind of arguing against myself a bit here, right? If something is truly egregious,
You need to change it immediately.
and everybody can agree on it, like, then you should change it.
Perfect is the enemy of good, like, and all that.
The other thing I would say is that, like, what was the consensus? And we're due, I think, to speak to some of the FRC people soon enough. We might be able to ask about, like, what the... Because I'm sure there's a rationale for it that hasn't quite been communicated to the great unwashed like us just yet, which we'll get. And then you'll be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. A lot of my pals have a real problem with the 2-point frees. And I think they're all wrong. I think the 2-point frees are preventing an outbreak, a rash of cynical fouling. And actually, I think if you bring back the 1-point free only, then everybody's going to be like, foul. Absolutely foul. You're much better fouling somebody outside the 40 than letting them have a shot.
Definitely, if it came down to the final few minutes and a team needed it, she just push up and hammer away at them. Like
Exactly. And I'm sure we've seen it.
Yeah.
It'd be like the Dubs against Mayo in that final kick out.
Yeah.
Just do it. What are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. Get back into position again. Someone got down with cramp.
It was Armaz O'Sheen O'Neill who's hit out at the frustrating rule changes mid-season after another tweak was approved by in the football's new rules.
It is
with just
weird,
4 rounds of the championship remaining. It is, it is only 4 rounds.
strange.
It's only 4 rounds left. But I do like the... Is ruthless the right word? But like certainly the fearlessness of these rule changes and the disregarding of public outrage about them. It's like, we're just going to do this. We're just going to make this decision for the greater good of the game, we feel.
Yeah.
They're not going by public opinion at all here.
I think although, it seems to have a pretty good rating in terms of how these rules have been received. But I think ideally for them, they'd want everything sorted by the time we're heading into the league next year. I don't think they'll want a constant state of flux. So they're like, just get it done now, finesse out every single thing so it's a solid looking thing heading in next year, and you're not having to do this for another year again.
Yeah. No, except that they're like the NFL every year at the owners' meeting have the opportunity for anybody to come and propose a rule change, and I think we should have that. Like, so the start of, as you're right, the start of the competition is going to be the same rules at the end, and we're not changing for the competition. But we should have the ability at the end of the year to go, here's all the evidence, this is what we think the change would be. It turns out you can't trial rules. I think in retrospect now, everybody agrees that that was an interesting viewing experience.
The
but
deep
really,
end is required.
Exactly.
Now, the only difference with that is the NFL season lasts 4 months and there's nothing after, whereas the GA season is
perpetual.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard. Like, where's the end of the year?
I think you look at it as inter-county rules that filter down, because that's seems to have been the way that all rule changes have happened in the past. So you say the end of the men's senior inter-county season is going to be the end of that new rule, and then we can make rule changes in advance of the start of the new one.
It's actually Jack O'Connor of Kerry Bass who'll be happy with this. It's gone to a ridiculous stage, and I'm not blaming the referees. I felt all along this is going to cause problems, and it certainly has. A fella contesting the ball at midfield can't just disappear. So he felt it was excessively punitive to have the 50 metre in. But that's changed, and it will occur from this weekend. Interestingly, the club game has more time to change it. They don't have to change it immediately if they don't want to. They have a bit more time on their hands with it. Just lastly, from this morning's top of the show, Martin Breheny complaining here, saying hurling is being sold short by crazy lack of summer fare. The summary of which is, by Saturday night, close of business, only 3 matches will be left in this year's Senior All-Ireland Championship. Is there anything that could be changed here, Arthur, or do you just go with the flow here and it is what it is kind of thing?
I know, I think everyone's kind of be happy enough was pushed back a little bit. That's probably the only thing that needs to happen.
It's just dates.
I think so. It's just that if you think about how long we're going, it's going since April, the championship. So if you were just to start at the equivalent point in May and everything rounded up in August, and the majority of games then would be played in May, June, and these games will be July. Imagine if it's, I don't think that's probably it. But I don't know if that can happen or not. But sort of it is what it is. Now it is funny. It does feel like a long time ago since the round robin of the 2 provincial championships was on. It feels really in a kind of bygone thing. And it is hard now, even this weekend. So you have 2 games that good tip Galway will be great, or should be. And Limerick Dublin, I suppose you'd probably suspect would go one way. Who knows? But it is interesting that they'll both kind of be overshadowed a little bit, I think, by what's happening in the football. Even though the football, and they're probably fortunate that the 4 preliminary quarterfinals aren't great. But, imagine if this weekend, if, say, Cavan hadn't gotten through and Mayo had, and it was Kerry-Mayo this weekend. I mean, that would be the big thing of the whole weekend. So there's a very easy possibility there that it just kind of gets sucked in. Now, semi-final weekend, All-Ireland final weekend will take over. That'll be fine. But that's a very small remit after kind of, if you have 4 big weeks.
Yeah,
it is. It's quite sparse, but sure, that's what it is. There's not that many counties, so what can you do?
When it comes to the hurling championship, you just got to live in the moment. Ger, I got you something for your return.
Oh, thanks.
I got you an episode of Who Gets It First.
Who Gets It First?
Welcome to Wednesday's episode of Who Gets It First. We had a great round yesterday with Nathan deputising for yourself, Ger. But it was actually YouTube who won yesterday. Now, you're fresh back off the continent. So I'm going to give you, you have to guess the player by the clubs I give you. But this player never played in the Premier League. He was only playing...
Simona Inzaghi.
I like your thinking straight away. He was only really playing in continental Europe, in the mainland Europe, right? So YouTube, are you ready, right? If anyone gets this straight away...
Is there an era?
Hats off to you. Do you want me to give you an era? I'll give you an era if you want. Late 90s, early 90s. First club is Torino.
Could have guessed that, to be fair.
Second club is Pizza.
Where's that?
Luca Toni.
No.
Pizza, okay.
Third club is Ravenna. Never heard of them.
Christian Vieri.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
Was there even a guess in on... there wasn't.
No.
Was there?
JWCM.
JWCM. You just got to type faster. You got to get there. Too busy with the farm. But that's amazing to get it at that point. The clubs that this guy had, like Atalanta, Juventus, Atletico, Lazio, Inter, AC, Monaco, Sampdoria, Atalanta, Fiorentina. With an Australian accent too.
He was good.
Certainly was.
I mean, I think the whole story around him would be totally changed if FIFA hadn't, if South Korea hadn't been gifted that World Cup.
That was ridiculous.
It was like, that's the cleanest goal I've ever seen. And Trapp.
Do you know if
Trapp was the manager, wasn't he?
Yeah. Do you know, it's the anniversary now, around right now this week is when that World Cup was happening, 2002. And if we had beaten Spain on penalties, I think we would have got South Korea in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
From memory. And then wasn't the semi-final fairly weak that year too? It was a kind of a weak enough World Cup.
It was terrible.
Brazil beat an average Germany in the final.
Terrible.
Oh, I still think about that often, about what could have happened.
JWCM says he beat Arthur by 3 seconds.
Yeah, do you have to have it typed in? That's
we
your
need
challenge.
We need the Zapruder tape to go frame by frame to see.
We need someone exclusively looking at that area. But speaking of exclusively looking at areas, OTB breakfast at UPMC Orthopaedic Care. When things don't move, rotate or bend like they used to, choose us to help you get back in action.